Now, Kerry, first of all, what's the latest you've heard on the damage and the possible deaths in those Pacific Islands north of New Zealand?
Hi, Joe. Well, there's a new report just coming out now that a whole village has been wiped out in Samoa, and we had already heard, of course, that 3 children had been killed, but if this is any indication what's gone on in some of those tiny islands which you just cannot reach by telephone, this is going to be just disastrous for the Pacific Islands. So at the moment we only know of 3 people being killed. Buildings have been brought down by the earthquake in Samoa. Houses have been torn away and cars crushed. We just don't know how many people have got caught up in this at this stage.
Now, we had a Bureau expert on the program earlier. He said much of the energy of the tsunami was going east and west of American Samoa, but New Zealand, there's also a tsunami warning for New Zealand. What's happening there?
Yes, there's a tsunami warning for the entire country, both islands, but as we know it at the moment, it is going to hit us on the east coast of the North Island. So we're talking about places like Gisborne, that's a city that a few people might know, and what we know is at first we were expecting a 1 metre high wave, now it could be something like 2 metres, and a half-metre wave can knock you off your feet. So 2-metre wave is something extremely serious for New Zealand. Now, it's going to hit at any moment. We'd been expecting it about half an hour ago, but there are some people that are watching it on the coast, and they've just reported that they're not seeing much at all. Their boats are being taken out to sea because, of course, people who own boats don't know how hard this is going to hit and if their boats are going to be hammered. And at the moment, we're all just waiting. People have been told, get off the beaches, take your families to higher ground, move your vehicles. It was panic stations earlier on. Things seem to have calmed down a bit now. People are just waiting. It's quite an overcast day here, so on the East Coast, people are lined up trying to see this wave, but it's pretty hard to see because of the conditions.
And Kerry, you've spent a bit of time reporting around the Pacific, and you know that Pacific area pretty well. Just give us an idea of what's between Samoa and New Zealand.
Well, there are just so many little islands, and people do live on these tiny islands in very basic conditions. And a wave, we've heard reports of a 3-metre wave through there. I mean, that's just going to do unbelievable damage. You've got, between Samoa and New Zealand, you've got Fiji, you've got Tonga, you've got the tiny little island of Niue, and if the wave is moving, if the energy is, moving in both directions, east and west, they're all going to be felt. They're all going to feel this. Now, we are in New Zealand 3,000 kilometres away from the epicentre, and we're getting a 1.5 to 2 metre size wave. So I can only imagine what they got through there in those islands. But I've got through to Samoa and spoken to some people there, but getting through to islands like Niue, I'm just about to make some calls there to see how they're going. But, Tonga, Fiji, it's going to be bad in those low-lying small islands where people live.
And where there is where communications are problematic at the best of times. Yes,
and I spoke to Russell Hunter. He's an Australian journalist that works for the Samoa Observer, and he was the one that told me about the 3 children that have been killed. Now, he was sure they got caught up in the tsunami, and he said that that area, it's an island in Samoa. They're trying to get people to that area, but that's the problem at the moment. Having enough people on the ground to go and survey the damage and help people if they're buried under buildings or cars. So it's pretty much, I think there's a lot of panic going through the Pacific today, and it's going to be devastating.
Just finally, Kerry, New Zealand is often the country that these Pacific islands turn to in their time of need. Has there already been talk of the New Zealand military getting involved in rescue efforts in the Pacific to the north of you there?
Not that I know of, and I've been monitoring things, and I haven't heard that John Key's made a statement yet. He's the Prime Minister of New Zealand. I think it feels a little bit too soon. Everyone's just scrambling to get on flights out of New Zealand into the Pacific, particularly media crews. All the flights are booked out. And there will be medical crews that will have to go from New Zealand. People are also being evacuated out of Samoa, I'm told. So you're just trying to get out of the area, and that might be for medical treatment as well, because you've got very basic hospitals that might, will not be able to handle this if we've got lots of people injured or killed.